emphasize just the career, but they'll be like, oh, I cook at home, I took care of I
have 8 children.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry, four children. But no, sorry, not to interrupt, it gets that way in the United States between the politicians.
Yeah.
Especially if it's women. I have 3 children, the next one's like, I've got 7. And I'm obviously the winner.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, well, if she's not married or like whatever, it's like, oh yeah, well, it's easy for you to build a career, you didn't have to, raise children. Oh, no, I've done all of it and I've done it well, So it's kind of, you have to prove that you are good in every, level. Whereas for men, that's not required, If nobody really asks, like, is he a good father? But she has to be a good housewife, and, she's a housewife and
But the men will then actually attack the woman and say, but was she a good mom? Or can she be a good mom and a politician at the same time? When they would never ask that of a man. Can he be a good dad and a good politician at the same time?
But isn't widening our idea of what a man can be a huge part of that? I mean, when a guy does say, you know what, I want to stay home and take care of my kids, women also get harassed about choosing to do that, but men get it real bad. Like, what? You're not providing for your family? They totally get teased about, taking care of all the little nitty-gritty details, and they get harassed pretty bad for that. So unless we broaden our idea of what a man can be, how are we going to really get women to be in a broader idea of what a woman can be?
Yeah, wait, she's not drafted, so I don't want to be drafted.
She's not drafted, so stop drafting me.
Yes.
Nobody should be drafted, period.
I want to be equal with women. I want to raise the kids, and I want to send my wife to work. Okay?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah,
Exactly.
In
Some
some
countries, well, in lots of countries,
Yeah, in Paris, okay?
Yeah, paternal leave is, and
So.
Well, that's what they do in Sweden through some family-centric policies where men and women have equal time off for parental leave.
And in a society where it's like, no, if a man chooses to take off and it's all his responsibility, of course he's just going to go to work. Of course he's going to expect his wife to stay home. Because the society's set up that way. We really have to change our ideas of what a man can be if we're all to be equal. Like a genuine gender transition as opposed to just a woman's movement and rights and men's movement.
And then you have to get past the genetic coding, though, of a woman finding a man attractive for this reason, that reason. And I think a lot of that's genetic. And then how, and a guy wants to win the woman, so he wants to develop these qualities.
Yeah, and so I think why is this difference? Because culturally or during the history, it has been thought. I can't say people thought or men thought or women. I don't know. But there's the idea that women cannot pursue certain tasks as efficiently as men.
And
Sorry?
and vice versa, because we can do like little nitpicky things.
Yes. It also can be vice versa, like soldiers, people thought that men were better soldiers than women, but now they're female soldiers. And when they go to army, they have the same equal treatment. They can't complain, oh, but I'm a woman, can I have a... If you're a woman, then go away. Don't come to be a soldier.
But this is a case where in Taiwan, for example, women can't serve in the army because they are women. And it's only men who are supposed to serve the national army.
There are women in...
Well, there are women, but then when it comes to women serving, because there's a compulsory military service, but it's only for men. But women are not supposed to serve compulsorily in Taiwan.
But it's the same police officers. They have to do also the same.
But that is a job. That one is job, because women, everybody has to look for a job, and probably the police officers are short of service people. So they have to recruit more people, and so women have to apply for it. But then I'm talking about serving compulsorily as mandated by the law, that every citizen of this country has to serve. But the women are excluded in that. And I was wondering, I kept asking, why are women excluded from that? And I didn't get a concrete answer for that, because I was wondering, why are women not serving? Why are women not supposed to serve compulsorily? It's only guys, boys, that are supposed to do that. So, well, I think it has always been part of society that makes society to believe, or culturally believe, that women, as men are somehow, what is the word? I don't want to say superior, because it's too big word to say.
Stronger, they're more efficient in physical jobs, let's say, in killing other people, and they're more efficient than women. That's
well,
general idea.
You could put it in that way, but probably we don't want to talk about physical, the physiology of the whole thing, because obviously women are not in that spot when you put it that way.
Women are not drafted, because it's a general idea. They're weaker.
It is the competency, and women are competent enough to serve. But then I believe that it's been a generational thing. It's been an ancient thing that it has been programmed into us in society and culturally, that women, there are certain things that women are supposed not to do. And it is somehow fascinating to see that happening, especially in this modern day when everything has become so sophisticated. Women are into all areas that men used to dominate. You see women all over the place. But then that question keeps coming back. Why is women always excluded in certain things like serving the army? And that you wouldn't get any good answer for that.
You don't accept the physical strength.
I don't want to use physical strength as part of the reason why women are denied certain things. Because obviously, of course, if you use a physical reason, I don't think it should be part of it. Because in anything that we do as society and people, women have played a role, and it has been that ever since the beginning of time. Maybe it's about time that society began to see that in a way to make some adjustments.
In our history, in the Balkans where we come from, we have a lot of women fighters.
Okay.
During the
That is when men are dead.
The Second World
when
War,
you need more people on
in the
front
Ottoman
line.
Empire, we have
Yeah.
a lot of women fighters, and even some of the positions.
Yes, but then I
Giving orders to
believe
men.
in that case is because probably women, they're short of soldiers and they need more
And
hands.
there's
No,
another
no.
economical factor, because let's say if the family is really poor, or maybe they lost the parents or whatever, like actually in the army you have at least food.
Okay.
Because, back then, like,
I think
starved to death.
it's like recruiting children. Because when a lot of men are lost, that is when they start looking on the other side. It's like, okay, who do we have next
probably
to
underage.
put? Yeah, that is when women and children come into the picture. So, yeah.
I was watching something you said earlier reminded me of a documentary that I saw. I was cleaning my room, so I wasn't watching it very carefully, but it was on early China evolution. Sometime before Chiang Kai-shek, they were showing the army, and they were having a war, and I was cleaning my room, so I wasn't paying attention that closely. And I was surprised at how many women were actually just in the war equal, fighting alongside the men. So I think that they actually do here. They were, they had short hair, they had cut it, and they were just in the army just like the men. This is pretty early. This is long.
Yeah, that sounds like a story that I've seen.
But again, wait. But I'm wondering now if it's referring to sort of like the earlier point where there's a huge population again. There was a larger population back then of Chinese than there were people settling America. population. There were a lot less. So again, I'm just wondering, I'm not sure if it's accurate or not, but I'm wondering if it has to do with population. Again, it was more disposable, they don't need as many women.
Back in I don't know how long that was. I don't know if you guys have heard the story of Mulan. There was a cartoon movie that came out back in the 90s when it actually based on a story back in the past in China when women are not allowed in the army, and there was this woman who actually has to put the mask of a guy to be able to be deployed in the army. And she did an awesome job. She went into the front line, she killed a lot of people, and she saved the China nation from a lot of stuff. But then when they came back, and then the rumors started spreading around that actually this woman, she's not a guy, but rather a woman. And at that point, the society was kind of confused. At that point, that how could a woman do so great job? And then she was always in the front line. She passed through the test. She passed through their army training and all whatnot. And she did an awesome job by taking on the enemies and killed tons of enemies. And then when she came back, they found out that actually she was a woman. So it raised a huge issue in China back then. And then that brought the idea of whether or not women should be allowed in the army. So I think in society and culturally, it has been that part of us humans that it has to do with mostly with race, because we've already programmed our brains, our belief that there are certain people who cannot perform certain things because there are this type of people. And I think women are part of it. Women are part of this whole thing because society, not only men, society in general, believe that, look, these people, which is women, are not capable of doing certain things like men. And it comes to race as well. It plays that part because it's like, okay, these people are not capable of doing these things because they are this type of people. So if you look at the issue of women and black people and any minority people, it kind of overlaps in a way, because why are they not allowed? They will tell you that, oh, they are women. And then they will say, okay, that's the reason, because they are women. But there's no any other reason apart from them being women. And that's the only reason that they're being denied certain things. And then if you ask people, oh, why do you hate this person? Oh, because he's minority or because he's colored. So, I mean, if you look at women and minority people's issue, it kind of plays a huge role. It kind of intertwines in a way. So, you know, it comes back to hunters as humans and society in a way. Because there are certain people who believe that certain people who do certain things because they are this type of people. So they are capable of doing better than people who are not part of this group of people. So I think it plays a role. It is part of these things that a lot of people are actually not happy. Because if you look at the whole thing, women issue and minority issue, it kind of plays a huge role. It mingles, it interlines in a way. Because this is it. Because it is the whole thing. Because there are certain men who believe that, look, we are capable of doing this task better than anybody else. And anybody who is not these type of people, they can't do it as better as us. So it ends up. So with the issue of women, just like with the issue of minorities, it's going to take a while to actually, put that into certain perspective and make people to believe and start to accept that, look, these people are part of society and they need to be recognized and accepted and acknowledged that they do exist.
They exist, and we've decided that they can do it, where women are a part of the army, but they're not equally obligated in the army.
That's it. So it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. it's an evolving thing, and it's going to take a while for society, because society have given privileges to certain people who have hold on to this privilege, and there's this fear that if they give out this privilege, the whole thing is going to be equal, and then we are going to lose grounds, and we have nothing left again. So this thing is going to take a while, and this is going to be an unending debate. And it's on.
Is it privilege? I mean, a lot of men in America did not agree with the Vietnam War, yet they were required to go and die.
Because
they didn't agree with the war. That's not a privilege. That's
the thing. This is
women
part of
were
it.
privileged because they were forced to do it.
This is part of it, and it's going to take a while for society to begin to actually see the other side of the picture or the coin, and start to take on this debate and talk about it. Because if you begin to talk about it, society kind of puts you in the corner and look at you a certain way, and look at, no, this issue is non-negotiable. We hold on to that, and it's better we left it that way, because that is the way it is. And it's sad. It's actually really sad. Because if you look at this whole thing, it is there, but then it's not talked about. It's not being discussed. It's not even, we don't even get close to it. And it's rather unfortunate that this thing is happening. And it's going to go on for ages until something comes from somewhere and then change the whole thing. It's rather unfortunate. It's rather unfortunate that to this time and era when society is so inclined and so sophisticated and start to begin to accept certain things, but it's still not yet there. And it's going to take a while. It's rather sad.
I have a question for Cathy.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, and well, I agree, even though I don't have like the scientific evidence, but I think it's kind of evident anyway, that the role of women has significantly changed, especially if we take maybe a century or two, right, in consideration, whereas the role of men doesn't seem to have gone through such transformation. And I don't know, like, how do you see it from like today's perspective? How do you expect that this will, like, change, or well, not necessarily, well, it will change probably, but like evolve in the future?
I think, that's exactly it. It's the concept that I call a man box. It's, women have taken care of, life, all your options are in this little box, and women's roles used to be down here, and men's roles used to be up here. Women have come in and taken all sorts of other roles, and men are just in this little corner. They're not allowed to move into all these women's roles. They need permission first. There's a book called Super Dads, and they discuss these dads that are spending, stay-at-home dads, and the way men are balancing work and fatherhood. And in that, they say that even now, even in the new millennium, how your family is structured, despite the fact that women have full careers and all that sort of stuff going on, how the family is going to be structured is up to her. He has to, if he wants to be the stay-at-home dad, he has to ask her. Guys don't choose that in these relationships. It's, if there's a guy that really just loves being the family guy, and he just loves hanging out with kids and all that sort of stuff, he has to ask her.
Yeah, but that's
her decision, because we can't accept men.
But that still might have to do, again, with the pressure on the women's role. That she's the mother, she needs to stay with the kids.
Give it to him. Give it.
I think that is the perception. That is the perception that she's the mother. She has to be home. When she said, when dad comes in and wants to play the role of a dad, he has to seek permission, and then whether or not it's okay for me to play the daddy role. Well, if it is granted, then it's okay. But it's the same thing. Why should she has to be, even though mothers are free in the family?
What if she actually doesn't want to have, let's say, a year of maternal leave? Why if she doesn't want to quit her job and raise the child until it's like 3 years old or whatever, she needs to ask him. I mean, you know, like it's not necessarily bad if, you know, somebody has more, well, it's always whatever the decision is. Somebody makes the decision, or usually it's kind of like a compromise, right? I mean, in like, let's say, like a healthy family, it's compromising between, you know. So I don't think it has to be necessarily seen through like, oh, he's losing something, or she's gaining something, or who has more power. You know, I think it's as long as they agree, you know.
Okay, and then again, when it comes to relationship, though, between a woman and a husband, you see, it begins. That is a relationship. It is a kind, because it's natural in us as human beings. Being in a relationship, be it between man and man, or woman, or man and woman, there comes to a point where there's going to be conflict. A conflict of who is going to be, or who is going to be in charge of this whole thing. And then at that point, if even there is compromise, there's still going to be a conflict of who deserves to play this role. Even if there is an agreement that, well, look, you play this, I play this, it's because that relationship evolves. During the process of evolution, it's going to get to that level, to that point where decisions have to be made, and certain vital decisions too. Because there are people who at some certain point have this fear of making a decision. Because that person at that point feels that if I make this decision, then there's going to be, maybe I'm going to lose something, or something is going to happen, or something terrible is going to happen. So at that point, whoever makes a decision would actually take that role of being in charge. So that part of the man and woman being in a relationship, it's like being in a friendly relationship with your friend. No matter what it is, it's going to get to that point where there's going to be a conflict of whoever would be the decision maker. Because people, be it a man or a woman, we get to a point where making decisions is really, really, really odious thing to do. It is a crazy thing to do. We feel like if I take this decision, then there's going to be bad. There's going to be a bad situation which I don't want to be part of, or maybe the family doesn't want to be part of. So at that point, it's going to be a huge thing to take charge at that point. So it depends. It's not only in man and woman's relationship. That is actually love, and love exists in any kind of relationship.
Okay, but we were talking about parenthood, and that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, that's the thing is, it's a lot of these guys were saying in the end, it was the wife's decision to how the family was to be structured, and with divorce, it's usually again the woman decides how the family is going to be structured.
For the same job, though, men still get paid more in Canada. For most, except for modeling, this is what we've taken in school, and my mother and my stepfather are both shrinks. He gets paid more. She's better. She's more experienced. She's done it way longer. She still gets paid less. And it's just our whole society, and this is even in Canada, women only get paid more in modeling and prostitution. So really, men bring in a little bit more money than women, which is unfair. That has to change before you can have Mr. Mom, and that has to change. Actually, it is slowly changing, but that's still a reality in our country, which is supposed to be the most advanced.
There are studies that do question the pay gap, and I've seen both, and it's kind of my experience. Anybody that I know, you're the first person to say that they have a live example of where this pay gap is that I've ever met.
Well, we had a study in contemporary social problems, and then I asked my mother, and she said, "Yeah, that's the way it is." In her field, and she works for a really important firm that looks after corporations and mental breakdowns in marriages and corporations. And in that kind of business, still the male therapists are paid more.
What does he do?
He's a shrink, just like she is.
What sort of?
Marriage counselors, the local marriage counselors.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
we need to
but
be
also in lots of countries, including this one, we have what they call the glass ceiling. So women cannot advance in their career as well as men, or there is
The glass ceiling means there are limitations where she can get to, and that she can go beyond that.
Yes. And there are big issues whether she can get promoted to this position.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that part, but I do know there's a pay.
I don't know about Canada, but
Yeah. Oh, I see.
I think it's basically like most part of the world, women are paid less, and be it any kind of society. Well, I'm not sure of Canada, but you mentioned it. And in Africa, being a third world region, it is vast. It's pretty much the same thing. There are things that women are not allowed to do. Even education, women are not allowed to be educated. It is now that it's changing because they believe that a woman doesn't have to be that educated.
you're born, they make you feel small. By giving you no time instead of it all. Till the pain is so big you feel nothing at all. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. They hurt you at home and they hit you at school. They hate you if you're clever and they despise the fool. Till you're so fucking crazy you can't follow their rules. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. tortured and scared you for 20 odd years. Then they expect you to pick a career. When you can't really function, you're so full of fear. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. Keep it doped with religion, sex, TV. And you think you're so clever and classless and free, but you're still fucking peasants as far as I can see. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. Top, they are telling you still. First you must learn how to smile as you kill. If you want to be like the folk on the hill. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. If you want to be a hero, well, just follow me. If you want to be a hero, well, just follow me.